$104,000 for this thing. Absolutely insane. You know, it's a catch-22 because the larger discounts we see from dealerships, the less your used example is going to be worth, which is why we saw about a 20% drop in the wholesale market or used values over the last 10 months across the board. If you were to finance that over 60 months or even 72 months, you're easily looking at a mortgage size monthly payment. Toyota's been always known for reliability, simplicity, and affordability. All three of those things have been thrown out the window entirely. If you look at many of these Toyota Tundras behind me, the price tags between $65,000 and $80,000. We're seeing a lot more of this. That window sticker says public notice. This vehicle will go to auction within 7 days. We are offering it to the public at wholesale cost. Now let's face it though, we are the TikTok generation, unfortunately, right? The keeping up with the Joneses is coming on thick. Not only are you trying to keep up with your neighbor, you're trying to keep up with what you see online, what you see on social media, and that has become hugely detrimental to the youth of our nation. But look at that, we're teetering toward the six-figure point. And well, after you spend the money on tax, registration, all the additional fees, you're probably looking somewhere close to about $105,000 plus for it. Kind of wild. Not to mention the amount that you're going to be spending on that loan if you paid it through term. One thing I never really talk about is the sheer numbers of vehicles that are repossessed. In 2023, there were 1.5 million vehicles repossessed. Then in 2024, there were 1.85 million vehicles. They're projecting the same thing for 2025 here, or just a little bit more. They might see up to 2.1 million. And riddle me this, why would anyone in their right mind come buy this used example of this GMC diesel heavy-duty pickup truck for $84,000 with 40,000 miles on it? Just look at the number of repossessions taking place. We saw a 23% uptick in the number of repos that have taken place from 2024 compared to 2023. And well, we're expected to keep up that trajectory through 2025. Kind of sad. Get a load of this price tag. Look at that, over $85,000 for this F-150 Platinum. That just blows my mind. Buying a used Ram is like crapping your pants and then changing your shirt. It's really because the new examples right now have the longest days on lot time of any new pickup truck. It wasn't really all that long ago that you'd be extremely hard pressed to walk up on a dealership and find not one, but two unsold brand new F-150 Raptors just chilling on the Ford dealership lot. Over $92,000 for this one. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. The prices of new pickup trucks have gotten completely out of touch with reality. I'm going to showcase that to you in today's video. I'm also going to highlight the many reasons why people have just started saying no. They've started to say no, more than the price tags, right? There's a compounding issue here at play, and well, a pending car market crash has people really on the edge of their seat when it comes to buying a new vehicle. In today's video, I'm going to peel back the layers of the onion and highlight new stats, facts, and figures that are quite alarming when it comes to truck sales within the United States. So stick with me. Much like any GMC dealership lot, you're going to see lines upon lines of unsold GMC Sierra 1500s. A lot of GMC elevation trimmed Sierras in particular. But check out this price tag, just over $64,000. That is right on par with the national average sale price in 2024 for a new pickup, which was $64,266. Kind of insane. You know, it really wasn't all that long ago that you would go to a dealership lot and really be hard pressed to find a nicely trimmed, nicely spec'd pickup for you to buy brand new. But now, not the case. You can be extremely choosy, go to any single dealership and just know that they will have multiple examples of the particular trim that you're interested in. Kind of crazy. And to be honest with you guys, I feel as though we need to see more trucks like this example. This one happens to be a 2025 GMC Sierra 2500 sporting the 6.6 liter V8 gas engine, but still connected to that Allison 10-speed transmission here. This really is an affordable option when it comes to having a very utilitarian work truck, right? So pretty bare bones. You even got pretty basic alloy, or looks like steely wheels there. A pretty basic example here, but that price tag is reasonable for a pickup truck, especially when you look at many of those Sierra 1500s over there, those elevations being in the mid 60s. This starts to make sense if you actually need a truck for work. But that is not the American way. The American way is spending over six figures for this very luxurious GMC 3500 Ultimate Edition. Get a load of this price tag. $104,000 for this thing. Absolutely insane. And really an important point to make right here is the profit margin on this GMC Ultimate Edition is much higher, as you'd imagine perhaps, comparatively to that 2500 more bare bones example over there. The profit margin is huge for the dealership and the manufacturer alike. Well, after hunting for a second, I found the quote-unquote most affordable GMC Sierra 1500 on this particular dealership lot. This is the most affordable of this example here. It's an elevation, and with the price tag of just under $55,000, it being a 3VL example, you tell me, is it worth that price tag? I hate that that has become the new norm. I can confidently tell you that that GMC 3500 Ultimate Edition here has been here for several months. And I think that's a very common sight when you go to any dealership now, especially when you're looking at the trucks between the $80,000 and $100,000 plus. People cannot justify those payments now, especially when you tie those to the current interest rates. With the national average on a new vehicle being 7%, when you tie that to that type of monthly payment, that's absurd. Even the cost of mid-size pickup trucks have gotten completely disgusting in my opinion, especially when you go look at like the Toyota Tacomas over there. Those blow my mind. But many of these mid-size pickup trucks now force you to have a 4-cylinder underneath the hood, a turbocharged 4-banger, much like this GMC AT4 here. But look at that. Over just under $62,000. But an important part I want to notate is, look at the standard vehicle price. How do we jump from $45,000 up to $62,000? That's crazy. Look at all those additional creature comforts, those additional features, and therein lies the profit margin for so many of these pickups. And dealerships need to be offering huge discounts off the MSRP as well as incentivized interest rates. $5,700 is not going to cut it. Many of these here need to be coming with a $12,000 to $15,000 discount and a very nice incentivized interest rate. I'm talking a 1.9, maybe even a 0% over 60 months. The chances of dealerships going belly up and going bankrupt is much higher as we teeter deeper into 2025, especially when you see their inventory levels. You walk in a dealership, you're going to see this, just lines upon lines of the same exact truck sitting unsold. We see GMC offering some incentives trying to move it. We see $5,000, $7,000 off here and there, but that's not going to cut it. We've even seen them offer pretty enticing leasing options, even for the Sierra 1500 here, $179 per month for 2 years. So not that bad, but not good enough. Now I showed you guys the GMC 2500 down there for about $55,000, a reasonable price tag. However, the rub with that one is a lot of the people who buy these trucks for work really need an engine like that underneath the hood. They need a diesel underneath the hood because that allows them to tow a lot more, and it just offers a little bit more peace of mind when it comes to the longevity of a vehicle. However, the rub is once you start putting a diesel underneath the hood, that is when the price tags skyrocket even more. Check it out. So we're looking at over 83 grand for this GMC Sierra 2500 SLT. This isn't even a top trim here, and still over 83 grand. And just for context, let me show you this, a little bit of an upper trimmed example. This is a GMC 2500. This one here is an AT4. But look at the price tag here. You're paying for those additional goodies, and quite a bit. Just under $93,000 for it. Insane. And hopefully you're able to see it, but they have $2,000 off plus a 3.9% interest rate over 36 months. Totally insufficient. And I hate to say it, but this might be the most affordable diesel option on this lot. Got the 6.6 Duramax in it, cloth interior, but this GMC Sierra 2500 SLE you can get for just under 76 grand. You tell me, is it worth it? Now really, I just can't imagine spending over $60,000 for a GMC 1500 or over $60,000 for a midsize GMC Canyon over there. But like I said, that's become our new reality. That's become our new norm. I can't imagine spending that type of money and then, well, within a couple of years, that $60,000 truck is going to be worth maybe $30,000, $35,000 because generally speaking, at least on GMCs and Chevys, their price tags plummet when it comes to the residual value. That's the unfortunate truth. And it's a catch-22 because the larger discounts we see from dealerships, the less your used example is going to be worth, which is why we saw about a 20% drop in the wholesale market or used values over the last 10 months across the board. Not just GMC, but across the board, they're plummeting in value. And guys, I gotta admit, this right here is a telling sight. There's only three Nissan Frontiers at this Nissan dealership. Normally speaking, they did have quite the lineup right here, if you remember from my previous videos, but now we're down to just 3. And honestly, that does not shock me one bit. I've touted it probably too many times on my channel, but I do firmly believe that this is the quote-unquote best bang for your buck for a truck right now, at least for a mid-sized pickup truck. You get a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 underneath the hood. This still is a rugged feeling pickup truck at the end of the day. They don't force you to have that turbocharged four-banger, and they don't slap you with prices in the mid-50s to $60,000 range. Just under $46,000. And the good part about Nissan is they will offer you a large discount from that price tag and give you an incentivized interest rate. I'm sure you can get this into the high 30s if it meant making a deal on it today. Let's check out this one too for fun. I like the white a little bit better. In 2025, they had a little bit of a facelift and they got some new wheels on it. This right here feels like good bang for your buck. You tell me. Not a truck, I know, but check out this all new Nissan Armada. But look at that price tag too. Over 72 grand for it. Is it worth it? Well, ironically enough, over at my Honda dealership, there's just 3 Honda Ridgelines. Only 3 of these midsize pickup trucks available on the entire lot. That's kind of telling, right? Not because it's a wildly popular pickup by any means, but the price tag is still bearable. And I use that word on purpose. It's not cheap by any means. At $47,000, that's a lot of cash to be handing over for a midsize pickup truck, but at the end of the day, people can have a level of peace of mind with this naturally aspirated V6 here. And for that price tag, it is bearable. Well, I spotted the most affordable examples at the Chevy dealership. It won't surprise you, we have a few commercial grade Chevy Silverado 2500s here. This one here is a single cab, and still, they want over $50,000 for it. And behind me here, we have one with the crew cab example for $58,620. Kind of wild still. I know it goes without saying, but with the cost of everything going up so much over the last few years, it's really become increasingly difficult for people to justify coming out and buying a new pickup truck, especially with the cost of your rent, your mortgage, the cost of insurance, over doubling in the last 2.5 years, the cost of groceries, you name it, everything has gotten wildly expensive and out of touch with reality. So coming out and spending $80,000 or more for a full-size pickup truck, heaven forbid you need a diesel, right? It doesn't make sense, and people cannot justify it, and rightfully so. And because of that, a lot of people are just holding on to their current vehicle much longer. Instead of swapping out every 3 to 5 years like normal, a lot of people are holding on to it for 5 to 7, and maybe even 10 years. They're just performing that necessary service and the necessary maintenance and allowing that vehicle to run longer, much longer, if it means saving a lot of money. Now, let's face it though, we are the TikTok generation, unfortunately, right? The keeping up with the Joneses is coming on thick. Not only are you trying to keep up with your neighbor, you're trying to keep up with what you see online, what you see on social media, and that has become hugely detrimental to the youth of our nation. Just look at the number of repossessions taking place. We saw a 23% uptick in the number of repos that have taken place from 2024 compared to 2023. And well, we're expected to keep up that trajectory through 2025. Kind of sad. Just peeked at each of these Silverado 3500 heavy-duty pickups, and while the price tags range from $68,000 to $84,000, this one here was just over 70 grand. Over $70,000 for the Silverado 3500 SRW Crew LT. Yikes. America, we are the country of abundance. We're the country of luxury. We're the country of creature comforts. And this Chevy Silverado 1500 High Country is a prime example of just that. But look at that price tag, just under $70,000 for this Silverado. This right here really is the common Silverado that you see on the roadways, right? And this has become the glorified grocery getter. This has become the glorified soccer van for a lot of families with 3 or less kids. This is it. And well, scratch that, this might be the most affordable Silverado on the lot. At least I would hope so. It's a very bare bones example, single cab, steely wheels, a little bit of a discount advertised in the window there. Not much, but I would still like to think that this is the most affordable Silverado on the lot. At least it better be. And riddle me this, why would anyone in their right mind come buy this used example of this GMC diesel heavy-duty pickup truck for $84,000 with 40,000 miles on it, almost 41,000 miles on it? Why would you do that when you can go buy a new example over there for just $8,000, $9,000 more and get a much better incentivized interest rate? On a used vehicle, the national average right now is 11%. Can you even imagine spending that kind of money and getting stiffed with that kind of interest rate? It makes much more sense to buy brand new. Not to mention you're starting with 0 miles. That can go a long way. Here we have a little bit better of an advertised discount, $7,750 off, or 4.9% over 84 months. So at least you're kind of getting quote-unquote incentivized interest rates on new inventory. But like that Denali I just showed you over there, if you were to get stiffed with a higher interest rate like 11% on that, just a couple years into making those payments, you will have already ate up the possible savings that you would have had buying a brand new example. You would be spending more on that used one than a brand new one. I hope that makes sense. And well, because they can't sell new inventory, they're not going to be able to sell used examples like this, especially with, a couple bumps and bruises on it. But we're seeing a lot more of this. That window sticker says, public notice, this vehicle will go to auction within 7 days. We are offering it to the public at wholesale cost. And well, like I mentioned earlier in the video, wholesale cost has decreased significantly over the last 10 months. But we're just seeing a lot of these stickers in so many of these vehicles. Another example here with that same wholesale sticker in the window there. If people are going to be tying up a large chunk of change at this point in time with how tight things are for everyone, they need to have full peace of mind that that vehicle is going to last. And it's hard to do it with buying a vehicle with 150 to 200,000 miles on it. I made this comparison before and some of you appreciated it, but buying a used Ram is like crapping your pants and then changing your shirt. It's really because the new examples right now have the longest days on lot time of any new pickup truck. We're talking over 460 days national average of brand new Rams. So I'm talking 1,500, 2,500, 3,500. The average across the board is over a year, teetering toward a year and a half. That is absolutely insane. They can't sell these even if they tried brand new. So why would you go buy a used example? Unless they're getting a huge discount on it, I would pass on a used Ram. Now this one right here, it truly is an example of old being gold. This naturally aspirated V6 Toyota Tacoma has sustained a pretty good residual. These across the board, across the United States, are sustaining a really good resale value because they're tried, true, and trusty, unlike the new turbocharged four-banger Tacomas. This one you can have peace of mind in. Which is why we see so many dealers clamoring for these previous generation Toyota Tacomas and the previous generation Toyota 4Runner because they're reliable. They're proven platforms with naturally aspirated engines underneath the hood. These just make sense for Toyota buyers. And well, dealers know that and they're charging an arm and a leg for them. I mean, heck, even the car trucks are sitting collecting dust. How about that? And it wasn't really all that long ago that you'd be extremely hard-pressed to walk up on a dealership and find not one, but two unsold brand new F-150 Raptors just chilling on the Ford dealership lot. This was extremely unlikely just to walk up on. Many dealerships were quick to lick their chops and try to charge markups on these. I'm talking $10,000 or more over that MSRP, over that sticker price. So a lot of Ford dealerships got extremely greedy with these examples here. We got Oxford White and Shelter Green here, but let me remind you of what their price tags are. Here we have $82,585 for this F-150 Raptor. Crazy how far they've come from when they were first introduced. When they were first introduced, they're right around that $45,000 mark. Look at them now. Not to mention when they were first introduced, what they have underneath the hood. They had a nice naturally aspirated V8 underneath the hood, but now they have that twin turbo EcoBoost 3.5 liter V6. And just for comparison's sake, the other one here is a 37 performance package, over $92,000 for this one. Absolutely insane, huh? And if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you know that I've owned a couple Ford F-150 Raptors semi-recently. I follow the market very closely. For the 37 performance package here, the Oxford White one, you can expect anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 off that MSRP. And for the Shelter Green one over there, $3,000 to $5,000 off that particular example. That's kind of the going rate for them. But even then, dealers are having a very difficult time selling their flagship truck here. Now, what I don't understand is many dealerships are struggling to sell the brand new examples of the F-150 Raptor. Don't even get me started on the Bronco Raptor. They're coming with a $20,000 to $29,000 discount on the Bronco Raptor. But here we have two used examples at this dealership, okay? This is a 2023, not the 37 performance package, the standard Raptor, if you will. 39,000 miles on it, and they still went over $67,000 for it. Kind of insane. This one over here blows my mind even more so. This is a 2024. That silver one, 2023. 2024 example here, just over 10,000 miles, so a year old, 10,000 miles on it, and they want the same exact price as that brand new Shelter Green one over there. Why would anyone in their right mind spend $81,000 for a used example when you can go buy a new one for 82 grand? Not to mention, as I hinted at before, you can easily get $3,000 to $5,000 off that Shelter Green in most places around the US, and $5,000 to $7,000 off the 37. And honestly, I would hate to be a dealership trying to sell a used new generation Toyota Tacoma like this one here. This one here is in that underground color, that gray, flat gray, which is cool, but what isn't cool is what's underneath the hood. We have that turbocharged four-banger underneath there, and these have been coming with a slew of issues from factory here. Made entirely out of Mexico, this Tacoma really is a prime example of quality going down drastically and the price tag is shooting up over 25-28% from the previous generation. Makes zero sense to me. I think a realistic price for this F-150 right here is right around $71,000. The way it sits, it's used right now, has 10,000 miles, it's a year old. That makes sense for it to actually sell, especially when you compare it to new prices, because you're going to get stiffed with a used vehicle interest rate too. Like I mentioned earlier, 11% is the national average for a used vehicle purchase. 7% being the national average for a new vehicle purchase. To be fair, F-150 Raptors don't often qualify for an incentivized rate through Ford. So you're going to kind of get stuck with right around that 7% or maybe just a little bit better. But for that Tacoma over there, they can't even sell them brand new with huge discounts and incentivized interest rates. And you know it's a problem when the most affordable F-150 on the lot is this particular F-150 STX example. Check this out. MSRP $52,805. Looks like they have a little bit of a leather and heat pack. I don't even know what the heck that is. Bringing it up to just over $55,000. Kind of insane, but this is among the most affordable F-150s on this lot. And a lot of people will be quick to ask me, hey, what do I think about the tariffs? What about the tariffs? How is that going to impact the car market moving forward? I personally, although it will have an impact, don't get me wrong, I don't think auto manufacturers have the luxury to hike up their prices of their vehicles, 20-25%. They don't have that luxury because, well, proof is in the pudding. Look behind me here. They're not selling brand new right now. What do you think is going to happen when they try to stick another 25% on that price tag? I mean, that's company suicide if you ask me. If you're not using it for work, a few of these examples here in front of me tend to be the prime choices for a lot of people who like to flex on their neighbor. And well, this F-250 Tremor here is a prime example of that. Check out this price tag. Just under $99,000. For context, if you were to finance that over 60 months or even 72 months, you're easily looking at a mortgage size monthly payment. We're talking anywhere from $1,700 up to $2,000, depending on your interest rate. Absolutely absurd. I'm never surprised by how many used examples already we're seeing of the 2024 Toyota Tacoma and used examples of very new Ram pickups here. These two tend to be the ones that people regret quickly. And well, if you go look at the prices of used examples, it's abundantly clear that people are not impressed with them. People are going back to the naturally aspirated reliable platforms and they're doing it in a hurry. Here's an example of an F350 Platinum. This one does have the high output 6.7 liter Power Stroke engine, diesel engine, but look at that. We're teetering toward the six-figure point. And well, after you spend the money on tax, registration, all the additional fees, you're probably looking somewhere close to about $105,000 plus for it. Kind of wild. Not to mention the amount that you're going to be spending on that loan if you paid it through term. You're easily looking at $120,000, $125,000 plus if you get stuck with a 7% interest rate. No thanks. A sad part of it all is a lot of people often forget that these trucks are depreciating assets at the end of the day. I think during the last few years, we've kind of tricked ourselves into believing that we can buy a vehicle, drive it for a few years, and not lose our rear end on it. Well, reality has caught up with us all, and now people are suffering because of it. A lot of people are going belly up on their auto loans. We saw that 23% uptick in the number of repossessions that took place in 24 compared to 23, largely thanks to truck loans. Over half of all the truck loans out there right now within the United States are over $1,000 per month. Over half, which is absolutely absurd. And honestly, a large part of the rub for so many Americans is the quality of these vehicles keep going down while the price tags keep getting shot to the moon. It makes zero sense for so many people, and well, they're clearly voting with their pocketbooks. Americans are not just flocking out and buying these trucks right now, and rightfully so, I would wager. So let's just pick one of these at random. This is a Ford Ranger XLT. This one here comes with a price tag, let me focus on it, of just over $47,000. This is a 2024 unit. You're going to see a lot of that. A lot of 2024 sitting unsold throughout the rest of the year. More so than any previous year, I would argue. And I always like to show the Ford Maverick a little bit of love because these, although they were supposed to be the $20,000 pickup, they are still remotely affordable, and they do sell fairly well because of it. This is the only one on the lot. This is an XLT. This one is just over $31,000. Again, not cheap by any means, but Americans can afford those monthly payments. Again, another 2024. And although many of these are 2024 units, with the whole lineup there out front as well, and on the other side, this is very common for most dealerships right now. This 2025 unit is still being advertised with a 2.9% interest rate over 72 months, but get a load of this price tag. Look at that, over $85,000 for this F-150 Platinum. That just blows my mind. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but do you recall when you can go buy a decently spec'd and nice trimmed example of the F-150 for the price tags of those Ford Rangers over there? That used to be the norm, and it wasn't all that long ago. So it blows my mind to see so many of these F-150s priced between $65,000 and $85,000. It really is everywhere you look. Even at the far end down there, we got a lineup of Super Duty pickups. Looks like commercial grade, but they're everywhere. And I want to be fair here, guys. Although I was just blown away by that price tag on this Platinum here, $85,000. This one right here, I stand corrected, is the most affordable F-150 on this entire dealership lot, okay? It is an XL, so bare bones, cloth interior as you'd imagine, but just over $50,000. You tell me, is it worth it? And well, much like the Nissan Frontier over there and the Honda Ridgeline, the Ford Maverick here is selling for very similar reasons. It's a very simplistic, affordable, and, well, at least at this point, a proven reliable platform. And for that price tag, it just makes sense. $31,000, that's why they're selling. I find the new Tundra and the new Tacoma extremely frustrating, especially for Toyota. Toyota's been always known for reliability, simplicity, and affordability. All three of those things have been thrown out the window entirely. If you look at many of these Toyota Tundras behind me, the price tags between $65,000 and $80,000. Absolutely absurd. Not to mention, you get a ticking time bomb underneath the hood with the main crankshaft bearing recall, the safety recall that took place with the Tundra here. People are not buying this with any level of confidence. And really, for the first time in Toyota's history, they're needing to offer huge discounts. I'm talking anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 off most trims of the Tundra here, and $6,000 to $9,000 off the Toyota Tacoma, just to move that metal. For the first time ever, they're needing to issue huge discounts because people are no longer interested in the Tundra or Tacoma, which is pretty sad to me. I mean, heaven forbid they kept their 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V8 underneath the hood of this Tundra. It would have offered that peace of mind and reliability that Toyota enthusiasts have come to expect from the brand. But no, we get this turbocharged 6-cylinder underneath the hood and a turbo 4-banger underneath the Tacoma. What gives? Fortunately, the quality is just not there. Here we have a 1794 edition Toyota Tundra, and well, there you have it. Over $72,000. Absolutely blows my mind. And although I pick on Toyota plenty, it isn't just them. Other vehicle manufacturers are doing it too. They're putting these tiny, smaller displacement motors, turbocharging them, hybridizing them, and then cranking up the price tags. People don't want that. People never ask for that, especially with the Toyota Tacoma and Tundra. Nobody asked for that. But Toyota chased green credits. They get the carbon credits from the government, at least previously, where they'd get paid out ultimately by you and I, the American taxpayer, to crank out these smaller displacement motors. And well, they're essentially throwaway vehicles, for lack of better terms. These are vehicles that you buy, drive for 3 to 5 years, then trade in. They're no longer the vehicle that you drive for 10, 15, 20 plus years with full peace of mind. That's not it. And well, that right there is a big part of the rub. Final assembly point, Mexico. No thanks. And just as a reminder, you're going to be spending over $50,000 for this midsize pickup truck with that 4-banger underneath the hood. This one here, priced at over $54,000. $54,000 for this TRD off-road Tacoma. You know, the price hike does add up a little bit with that iForce Max. That is the hybridized 4-banger underneath the hood. And I want to be fair here. This is a Ford F-150. The engine, country of origin, Mexico. So again, we're just outsourcing production to cheaper labor countries for vital components of vehicles, if not the vehicle itself, and still demanding a huge price tag. Now, although I talk about the repossession rates going up often on my channel, one thing I never really talk about is the sheer numbers of vehicles that are repossessed. In 2023, there were 1.5 million vehicles repossessed. Then in 2024, there were 1.85 million vehicles. They're projecting the same thing for 2025 here, or just a little bit more. They might see up to 2.1 million vehicles being repossessed here in 2025. So again, that is an astounding issue and certainly unprecedented with those numbers. And probably like most shoppers, I'm kind of eyeballing these F-150s as I walk down the line here, and I kind of point out the ones that I really like. I'm like, okay, this one looks pretty cool. Then I go check it out. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It's a platinum. It's going to cost a lot. And then I'm met with that astronomical price tag, $86,000 for this Ford F-150 Platinum. Gosh. All right, guys, I'll wrap up the video there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know the type of discount that you would need to see truly to go out and actually buy a new vehicle here in 2025. Is it 30% off? 40% off? You tell me truly what it would take for you to come out and actually buy a vehicle. As always, guys, I do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune these videos. If you found any value in it whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Until next time.